What's going on, family? What's going on? What's going down? What's shaking? Welcome to JonathanSoul Sundays. Sit back and relax. You know what I mean? Do the dishes, clean up the house, jog, whatever it is that you do on a Sunday that you can speak about in polite company. Whatever you do on a Sunday, go ahead and do it and let me play in the background. I'm going to bring you some groovy conversations, some interesting thoughts, usually from people who create the world they want to live in. You know, writers, artists, filmmakers, that type of vibration. So sit back, relax, and enjoy JonathanSoul Sundays. All right, family, I'm going to introduce you to a groovy lady. She's a sci-fi author, a mom, a wife, and she's building a platform that will allow the congregation of sci-fi fans and sci-fi content creators, be it like, books or movies or whatever it is. If you're a fan of sci-fi or you're a creator of sci-fi content, she's building a platform for y'all. All right. Who am I talking about? I'm talking about Cerece Rennie Murphy. You can find her over at CereceRennieMurphy.com. You can find her over at Amazon.com and pick up her sci-fi novel series, Order of the Seers. Very groovy book. And we'll get into it in an interview. But first, I kind of wade into the conversation with a tweet. I mentioned off mic to her that I tweeted him out, the only parent that's having that post-Trump conversation with their kids. And it turns out that she had the same thing. Let's listen.
First of all, thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Cool, right.
But no, you are not the only one. My kids are 9 and 5.
Wow.
And our conversation, my husband and I started having conversations about the election at the end of about mid to late summer. And we don't watch TV. We certainly don't watch TV with the kids, news, none of that. So I was picking him up from summer camp and my son jumps in the car and goes, "Mommy, Trump is up in the polls." Wow. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, what is happening? I mean, I hadn't said a single word about it. I said, "Well, how do you know that?" He said, "We were talking about it at summer camp." And it was just fascinating to me that, children, there's so much wisdom in children. Mm-hmm. And it was fascinating to me that these 6, 7, and 8-year-olds are sitting around talking about politics. And somehow they might not know a lot, but they know that this affects them. They know that it's important. And I thought that was just so profound. So what ended up happening is we had a fantastic conversation around what it means to poll, because, of course, he was 8 and really had no idea what it meant to poll, how you tell whether or not a poll is relevant, what a standard deviation of error is, just things that growing up we knew. I remember as a kid watching the news with my parents, and whenever they announced the results of a poll, a couple of things were always there. First and foremost, they told you what the size of the sample of people they surveyed was, which you almost never hear now. Mm-hmm. Second thing they told you was
whoa. That's a good point. That's a very good point. Back in the day, they would tell you exactly so many people. Yeah, they just give you the stats. They don't tell. Oh, wow.
That's right. It's amazing. My friend and I talk about the difference between data and information. Mm-hmm. Data is just a random fact that may or may not be related to the next fact that you say after it. Mm-hmm. Information is analysis and summary. Mm-hmm. And one of the reasons why I stopped watching the news in 2009, one of the reasons why I stopped is because I realized I was not getting any information. Mm-hmm. I was getting a lot of data that wasn't necessarily synthesized into something actionable or even thought-worthy. Mm-hmm. But I was getting a lot of facts, and then what I get is an opinion on the data, not necessarily facts even. I was getting data and then an opinion on the data. Mm-hmm. No verification whether or not the data was actually fact. Mm-hmm. No necessarily logical sort of linking of data to even make a fact that you could then draw a conclusion on. Mm-hmm. None of that was happening. Wow. And so I realized that I was being diseducated instead of informed. You know what I mean? And so I just dropped that. And now I get my news through reading. If I hear about something, I'll hear a tweet or someone will text me about something that happens, because all my friends know I don't watch the news.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll be like, Cerece, this happened. You need to check it out. I'll go and I'll start reading about 2 or 3 different sources on that. And that's how I get my information.
Wow.
I almost never, log on and watch something because it's 20 seconds. It's almost impossible to know anything in depth about a subject in 20 seconds, which means you know nothing, but you have suddenly an opinion on it and you have a feeling about it.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not what you need to make a logical decision.
Right.
You know what I mean? You need facts so that you can think about it. But our news is designed now to elicit an emotional response, not a cognitive response, which is different from how I grew up. So anyway, all that to say, I explained to my son what a poll is, what a survey size is, what it means to have a significant sample, and what it means to have a standard deviation of error. Because that's something that they used to tell you in polls. This falls within or outside of the standard deviation of error.
Yeah.
So that you know whether or not the results of the poll were significant or not. These are all things that you almost never hear now.
Wow.
Which are critical in decision making. What they tell you is they throw out some data and then you get an opinion on the data.
So,
Cerece,
that's meant to Cerece, you're dangerous. You know that, right? Because most Americans aren't really thinking critically like that, and definitely not educating their little ones. I mean, you're supposed to be talking about Dragon Ball Z and well, they don't have Saturday morning cartoons anymore, but you're supposed to be talking about stuff like that. You're trying to break down, the political process to a little one. I mean, that's interesting and sad that it impacted their world this early in the game. You know what I mean? But 2, it's beautiful that you were able to take that moment, make it a teachable moment, and hopefully relieve some of that fear. That's beautiful.
Well, it's I'm a parent. That's what we're all trying to do, is make the world as safe as possible for our children. And information and understanding how to analyze information is a critical part of that.
Right.
And he just turned 9. In less than 10 years, he's going to be out of the house. He's going to be going to college, or taking a year to go to Peace Corps, whatever he's going to be doing in life. And now is the time where I need to help him understand how the world works, so that he can take that information and chart his own path in life. And, my husband, I take that responsibility really seriously. And, when kids bring something to you, it's almost, if they can bring it to you, then they're old enough to have a discussion about it. Right. You know what I mean? They might not have the discussion. You might not have the discussion you're going to have with a peer, an adult peer, but there's always some piece of that you can break off. And it's one of the parts of parenting that I enjoy the most.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Another part of this whole Trump thing that's happened is that the immigration with an E, right? The immigration page on the Canadian government site crashed. I saw that. Yeah.
I read it.
The last time it crashed was when Trump got the nomination.
Wow.
Yeah, the last time it crashed. So what do you think that means? Like what is the inference you would draw from that?
Well, I think a lot of people are scared and uncertain about what this means. It was a very divisive campaign. It was very difficult. And, before I get into it, I know Trump supporters who are not awful human beings.
Okay.
And it's very important on both sides of this discussion, as we struggle to understand each other, not to generalize. Hillary Clinton won the popular vote. That's something we should not forget. But I've had a chance to speak with Trump supporters who were very candid with me about why they supported him. And while, those reasons I didn't agree with, it was powerful to hear how they were experiencing this country and how they experienced the last 8 years, which was completely different from how I experienced it. But, for those who think that this was not a divisive campaign, that this was not racially offensive and predatory. All you need to do is go online and find some of the incidents that have happened after the election, and to see how some people have interpreted Trump's message.
Mm-hmm.
And essentially, it's given them license, or they've used his words to give themselves license to attack Muslim students, to bully. Like, unfortunately, I just ran across this. My brother, who's in the Air Force, posted a link of all these incidents that happened just in the last 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Of people being harassed and threatened and intimidated, all under the name Trump.
Wow.
And it is, so, for those Trump supporters who don't understand or don't agree with that, I just said this, now's the time to speak up. Because I think for some folks, they didn't understand why, people assumed that Trump supporters were racist. Mm-hmm. When you go online and you see what some of these Trump supporters are doing, this is why. Mm-hmm. This is why.
Right.
People who are told, and they videotaped it, you could see it. Mm-hmm. Someone had a black man walked out of his garage, and there was, can I curse on your show or say a bad word on your show?
Abso-fucking-lutely. Okay.
It said nigger go home, and then Trump on the windows. So on the windshield and the back main window, nigger go home, and then on all the side windows it said Trump. Mm-hmm. Now that's why your support is being interpreted this way. And if you're the silent majority, you need to stop being silent, mm-hmm. because this is what's speaking for you. Mm-hmm. If you don't have an alternative view. And so when you hear about the Canada site crashing, they're reacting to this vitriol. They're reacting to this hatred that was part of the campaign and is certainly now, it appears, becoming a part of life as we know it post-election. Mm. And I would just encourage people who supported Trump but don't support this, mm-hmm. to speak up, because otherwise these other folks are speaking. They're being vocal and they're being predatory. They're being violent and hateful. Mm-hmm. And if there is no counter to that, that is what will define how the rest of us see it. Mm-hmm. And that's why you get the Canada site crashing. That would be, or at least that's my thoughts on it.
Yeah,
for what it's worth.
Now that's beautiful. That's beautiful, and that's very well laid out. That I guess I come at it from a slightly different perspective, and I'm gonna try to do a segue, but it's gonna be mad sloppy. I'm gonna try to do a segue into your wonderful novels.
Let's talk about something else, because I've got a headache.
No. But I do want to reserve the right to reach out to you if I do want to talk some politics, because you've laid stuff out so well that I would love to hear your thoughts on other things. But I'll say this. Right now, this Trump campaign is an opportunity. And again, watch this transition. It's going to slip right by you. You ain't going to see it. This Trump is an opportunity. Why? Because at the very moment that Trump reveals the true nature of the masses of this country, because Trump is just he's the symptom. This has been festering mm-hmm. underneath the whole time. That's related to the cops. It's related to different laws like the Stand Your Ground. Trump is just, you're going to the doctor and he's telling you got cancer, but you've been feeling bad the whole time. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. I absolutely agree with that.
Trump is the prognosis. But check this out. At the same time, there's been a renaissance in black media. I would say black content, but it doesn't sound as groovy. Black media. There's been a renaissance of black creators on the internet, right? YouTube, different folk creating content. And then they going back to old media, like my girl, Issa Rae, who did Awkward Black Girl. She has a series now. You have people who are well known in Hollywood, like Idris Elba and the sister who does Scandal, come up with their own production companies and doing other movies. And then, of course, people like yourself who are writing, publishing. So there's this whole movement happening at the same time.
Yes.
I think it would be beautiful if we would kind of use this moment to kind of solve some long-standing problems. I think one of the biggest problems could be self-image. You know what I mean? If we could repair the image that we have of ourselves, I think that, unity and economics and all that kind of stuff would kind of follow. I think it would kind of follow.
I agree with that.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So speaking of creativity, you're the author of a book series called Order of the Seers that we can grab on Amazon. I gave my little, quick intro and summary, but can you go into a little depth? Can you talk about Order of the Seers?
Yes. And I just want to say that was an amazing pivot. Order of the Seers is a sci-fi trilogy about a group of people who can see the future and they're enslaved for that ability. And the book's all about how they escape the organization that's trying to exploit their gift, how they reclaim their power and start fighting back. So you are absolutely right. It's very much X-Men meets Minority Report.
Aha.
Very, very
dope.
Yeah,
dope,
very
dope.
much.
Now, how did those two themes kind of come together? I mean, that's a beautiful mix.
Oh, man. Well, I have to say, my stories come to me, and this absolutely came to me. I was washing the dishes in 2011 summer, and
Hold on for a second. Hold on. See, hear that, brothers? They still got sisters out there that can take care of the house. Don't give up hope.
No.
Don't give up hope, brothers. Don't give up hope. Don't give up hope. Okay, go ahead, Cerece. Go ahead.
You are a mess.
Go ahead, Cerece.
I was washing the dishes, and this whole I had a vision of this man walking towards me who had this cataract-like film over his eyes and ash blonde hair, even though he was a black man from Tanzania. I knew he was a seer. I knew he was enslaved for that ability. I knew there were people all over the world who were suffering the same fate. And this entire story came to me while I was washing the dishes.
Wow.
And yeah, at the time, I didn't even know if I could write it. I had written 2 pieces that were longer than 5 pages because I used to write poetry all the time. One was an X-Files fan fiction piece that I wrote like a million years when X-Files was actually on TV.
Okay.
And the other one was this other like romance fan fiction piece. It was a short story, maybe 50 pages. I had no idea if I could even write the story that was coming to me, but I knew that I would try. And I sat down and yeah, here we are. So it's just an amazing journey. And so I didn't have the concept. I didn't sort of put it together. It really just came to me.
Now, in your writing process, is it like you're a conduit? Are the characters talking to you? I mean, or are you just writing down what you see in your mind?
Both. I'm absolutely a conduit. My characters are telling me their story. And my job as the writer is to convey that as accurately as I can so that you see what I see in my head when they're talking to me and you feel what I feel when I'm watching their story unfold. And that's really my judge that's my rubric for whether or not I've done a good job. Gotcha. Is when I go back and I read it, if I see the picture that I originally saw in my head, I know I did a good job. And if I don't, I know I got work to do. So yeah, that's really how it is. It's an amazing, humbling journey.
That's beautiful.
With each story.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Now, the first time I reached out to you, you were on your way to New York ComicCon. How was that?
Oh, it's wonderful. It's wonderful. New York ComicCon was my first sci-fi convention ever.
Wow.
And
okay.
I did it at New York ComicCon in 2012. Order of the Seers book 1 had been out for less than a month. And I went to New York ComicCon only because I knew of 2 sci-fi conventions at that point. The one in San Diego.
Right.
And I just come out with my book. Nobody knew me. I didn't know anybody. So I figured, well, I can't fly all the way out there. I mean, I'm based on the East Coast. So I thought, but I could drive to New York. And so I booked a table, and it was only afterwards that I realized they were like, it's 100,000 people. And wow. I was like, what? Well, I was like, oh, well, it's too late. I already paid the booth fee. Right. I gotta go. And up until that point, I live in a bubble on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And I enjoy that bubble very much. So when I was thinking about publishing the book, I didn't really have any negativity because the people around me were very supportive. It was when I stepped out of that bubble to publish the book that I started hearing things like, oh, well, you're a Black woman in sci-fi. You basically have no audience because Black people don't read science fiction, white people don't read Black authors, and nobody buys science fiction from a woman. So you have no audience for your book.
Mm-hmm.
But I always say the fastest way to get me to do something is to tell me what I can't do.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And so I went up there because, I just thought, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I sold over 100 copies
Wow.
of my book.
Wow.
Every type of person there was. I mean, and I had people stop by my booth like,
when you
what
say
are
every
doing
type
here?
of person, you mean a tall white guy and a short white guy? I mean, describe the people that bought your book.
I mean, Black people, white people, Asian people, Latinos, women, men, every age group. It broke every single rule that I was told. Because I was also told, the booth fee at that point was $925 for a table.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that didn't include a tablecloth either.
Damn.
Or a chair. And I was told, you're never going to make your booth fee back. Like, nobody's heard of you. You have one book. I did make my booth fee back.
Wow.
But I hustled.
Mm-hmm.
But I also had an incredible reception. Like I said, people walked up to me like, okay, what are you doing here? I obviously need to hear this. Because at that time, and this is incredible. This is 2012 in the small press section at New York ComicCon.
Mm-hmm.
I was the only woman of any race selling a novel that I had written. Mm-hmm. The only woman. To date, I think there are two now. There are two of us.
For real?
For real.
Wow.
There'll be three next year because I know another woman from London who said she's going to come back and sell her comic. But there's never been more than three of us that I know of.
Interesting.
Selling a novel.
Yeah.
That she had written. It is shocking. Mm-hmm. And I had no idea. I was just in my booth. It was only later that I learned from the sales team at New York ComicCon that I was the only woman.
Wow.
And I heard it from people. Like, oh, whose books are these?
So you know what? Mine. You know what? That sounds just like the bullshit polls that the news people was giving us. That stuff that they was telling you.
That's right.
They was giving you some data and not information.
Yeah, that's right.
Uh-huh. Wow.
So if there are any aspiring authors out there, the first thing I would say is don't listen to they. They say a lot of stuff.
Yep.
No one knows what you can do. No one knows what you can do. The only person who knows is God, if you believe in God. Mm-hmm. But that's it. Because there's never been a you doing what you're doing before, ever. Mm-hmm. So go find out what you can do.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I think when we talked off mic, you asked me how did I find you, and I mentioned Naroz. Did I pronounce it right?
Naroz.
Yeah. Naroz. That's what I said, Naroz. And so I'm reading through it. And I'm thinking, is this like curated sci-fi or something? Is this like Image Comics for sci-fi writers? Can you explain what Naroz is?
I would love to talk about Naroz. Naroz is an online platform designed to help sci-fi and comic book culture fans find indie sci-fi and comic culture content that they love. So it's essentially taking the con experience and bringing it online, but focusing it on indie creators across platforms. So that means comic books, graphic novels, film, artwork, and traditional books. Wow. Anything that's sci-fi related, any medium that's sci-fi related, we want to feature on our site, as long as you're indie. Because one of the things that I've learned from the sci-fi conventions is there is an audience. And that's the other thing. Mm-hmm. As independent creators, we struggle to find our audience. But what I've found is that people come to sci-fi conventions in droves to find what they cannot find at Barnes & Noble. If they
Wow.
could find this stuff that's at a comic convention at Barnes and Noble, they wouldn't have spent $40 a day, hundreds of dollars
Mm.
just to get into the building, to buy content from people they've never heard of before,
Mm-hmm.
to buy books that no one's recommended to them. They
Mm-hmm.
are looking for something different. This is our sweet spot. This is
Wow.
our target audience. But after the con is over, it's so hard to find us.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Comixology, but Comixology's job is not to help people who visit that site find your independent comic.
Right.
You go to the site and the first thing you're seeing is inundated with all the big guys,
Mm-hmm.
DC and Marvel, and that's wonderful. Now you can go there as an indie site, but as an indie creator, but them finding you is a struggle. The
Mm-hmm.
same with Amazon. If you're looking for artwork, well, you could wade through DeviantArt if you want to. Good luck with that.
Mm-hmm.
If you're looking for film, well, you're basically trolling YouTube. I mean, you're not, you know what I mean?
Right.
That's whose job is not to help a sci-fi fan find your next indie short. That's not their job, and they're not even pretending.
Mm-hmm.
So the question, it came to me that there's this incredible opportunity to bring us all together so that indie sci-fi fans who are open to what we create can find us easily and support what we do and enjoy what we do and give feedback on what we do. And so that is what we're building with Numarasi.
Wow. 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 So describe the process. I'm a sci-fi fan. I come across Naroz. I sign up, and then what happens?
Well, we're right now. I'm in the development phase of the actual website.
Gotcha.
So we're still building.
So on a perfect day, like on the horizon, right? On the horizon,
yeah.
What kind of experience do you expect to deliver to folk?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, you're going to be able to go to the site and search content by medium and by genre. Mm-hmm. So if you're a steampunk fan, you'll be able to go and type in steampunk and see everything we've got in film, artwork, books, graphic novels, and really drill down. Not only are you going to find content on that, but you're also going to learn about the artists. You're going to see videos from artists introducing their work to you.
Wow. You're
going to learn about how they started. I'm giving away my secret sauce. No, just okay.
Well, I love steampunk, and so you kind of got my ears all perked up.
Oh,
now.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're going to be able to ask them questions. Mm-hmm. Ideally, eventually, we're going to develop a membership program so you will get exclusive content that free members don't get. In addition to access to premieres of sci-fi films before anybody else sees them, but also, like, for example, if you buy a book on one of my books on Naroz, if you're a premium member, you whatever you buy, I sign and send to you.
Wow, you got me. Now you got me, because I gotta have signed books. So let me ask you this. Would you be able? You guys are gonna take PayPal and regular payments and stuff? And will there be tiers of content, like a base level tier and then premium, or no? Possibly.
At this point, no. We're focused because we're starting out, and as we grow, I'm sure we'll get all different kinds of content of all different kinds of quality, but I'll talk about that in a minute. We're really focused on trying to get the best content possible. So right now we're in the process of developing a database of content creators across genres and mediums and actually approaching them about trying out the site. Gotcha. So that's where we're starting first. And then once we test the site, make sure it's up and working and has the features and things that content creators really want, then we will expand. And then we'll really open up, and people will be able to submit their content. We'll review it. I'll be honest with you, if it's totally bootleg, we're not going to shut you down. But what we will say is, hey, here are some resources that we think can help get your content to the next level.
Gotcha.
So that you can come on here and be competitive and be successful, which we want. I mean, Naroz doesn't sell anything of its own. This is not a site about promoting my work at all.
Right.
This is about our job is to help you be successful. So we want to bring the resources and things to you that will help you do that. So
the timing seems to be perfect,
I think so.
Because what's happening is like I don't know if we had this conversation off mic or was it my little clever transition, but not only is there a renaissance in Black creative content, there's a renaissance in indie. I'm getting this decentralized vibration, where people, okay, I got to build a following. Okay, I got my following built. Oh, now this movie studio is coming and knocking. Oh, DC and Marvel want to talk to me. Not everybody's saying yes.
That's right.
Some people is like, nah, I think I'll continue to build this little vibration on my own. And so a place like Naroz sounds like something that they would fit right into that way of thinking.
Absolutely. It's about creating a direct connection between the fans who love challenging stories, unique ideas, and the content creators who put their heart and soul into creating those stories. This is about cutting out the middleman completely and developing a direct relationship between content creators and fans.
I bet you I know what you can find. I bet you I know what you can find on Naroz. I bet you I can know what you can find smart content. I spend most of my time interviewing like comic book creators, and Marvel and DC. No matter how complex the plot, no matter how intricate the character profiles are, everything is resolved with a fist fight. You know what I mean? When you look at Hollywood, their movies and everything. It's rare that you come away with a movie that actually makes you think. Things are just black and white and emotional and boom, bang, pow. But when you're indie, you can take your time and not worry about if this is going to sell 1 million copies because you're in love with what you do.
Exactly. Indie creators, none of us come into this thinking this is going to be some quick, get rich quick scheme. That's not how it works. First of all, you're indie. Most of the creators that I'm meeting, particularly at these conventions, they're indie on purpose. Like they could be doing something. They're incredibly talented people who have decided that they're not playing that game. They're going to build something that they love, something that means something to them, something that they put their heart and their soul into. And there is an audience for that. And that audience is not small. Comic conventions were a $600 million industry in ticket sales alone.
Wow.
That doesn't count the $100 to $500 per person that the average convention goer spends when they get into the convention. They are not buying Marvel stuff because Marvel stuff they could get anywhere.
Right.
They are buying artwork. They are buying books. They are buying novels. They are buying from people they've never heard of before. And discovering things they can't find at Barnes & Noble. The average convention goer goes to more than one convention a year. The average is between 2 to 4. The reason why is because that's the only place where they can find the content that we bring.
Wow.
Naroz is going to change that.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
And in terms of what we're doing now, in terms of how you can get engaged, you can go on narazu.com. That's NARAZU.com. You can sign up as a content creator or a fan. We'll ask you what type of content you like. Last month for Halloween, we sent out a newsletter. So we're already starting to try to engage people. Now, it's just me by myself at this point. So, I can't do a weekly email, but we will build up to that.
Right.
We're doing a monthly email that focuses on a different genre of content. And within that newsletter, I had comics, I had graphic novels, I had film, and I had artwork, all centered around horror because it's Halloween. So next month, we're doing fantasy because it's the holidays. And really, there's so much mythology around the holidays, regardless of what religion you are. And I thought it'd be kind of cool to focus on fantasy. And so that's what we're going to do for December. And then for January, we're going to have a wildcard newsletter, which is about content that defies genre.
Wow.
That's absolutely awesome. So so that's what's coming up. Get on the website, sign up, let us know what kind of stuff you love. And as soon as we develop more capacity, we're going to be able to cull through that data and not just send you things by genre, but specifically, if you said you like horror and steampunk films, every Friday, you are going to get the best content we have in exactly what you like.
Wow.
So that you can focus on it, you can enjoy it, and you can share it with your friends. So
that's very
I'm
cool.
as serious as I can be about it.
That's very cool. That's very, and again, I think it's needed. What you said, there's a couple of points you said that was really heavy. The main one I think that resonates with me is they go there looking for stuff that you can't find in Barnes and Noble, and well, that's the only bookstore left, right? Barnes and Noble.
There's books a million. There's books a million.
Yeah. So they're looking for you guys and gals, and they're willing to take a chance. They're willing to take a chance, and right. And they're not being disappointed because, like you said, folk are coming back to multiple cons per year. So that's a significant investment, and I think you're just making it easier for them to find what they're looking for. Is there any other message that you want to lay out to my audience, Cerece? You laid out so much. I mean, you gave us a little bit of a political education when we started out. You gave us some parenting advice. Then you went into this groovy sci-fi series that you're working on, and then you talked about this. I think what may be a tremendous business for creators and fans alike. Is there anything else you would like to share? And please give us your contact info.
Oh gosh, well, the Sci-Fi trilogy is complete, and like you said, it's on Amazon, Barnes and Noble. I have a children's book series that I wrote with my son called Ellis and the Magic Mirror. The first book is out. The second book called Ellis and the Hidden Cave. I should tell you a little bit about it. It's an early reader chapter book for ages 6 to 9 about a little boy. The first book is about a little boy who discovers a magic mirror and finds out that there are trolls hanging out at his school trying to stop kids from learning.
Trolls.
And the book's trolls. That's
hanging
right.
Out in school or Facebook?
In school. That's how kids from learning. That's right. And they use Facebook as as a device. And the book's all about how Ellis, his little sister Freddie, and his best friend Toro go into the forest to find out what the trolls are up to and stop what they have planned. The second book takes Ellis, Toro, and Freddie on an adventure to India to discover an underwater world and another battle with some trolls. So it's lots of action adventure. And the best thing about the book is it's illustrated in color, in full color on almost every page. And we have an amazing, amazing illustrator by the name of Gregory Garay, who just put his foot into every single illustration. I can't wait till the second book, Ellis and the Hidden Cave, comes out, because he did an amazing job with Ellis and the Magic Mirror. He took it to a whole nother level with Ellis and the Hidden Cave. And that's coming out December 6th. You can find out about it on my website. And then finally, at the end of this month, November 29th, I have my first historical romance, which I know it's random, but that's me, about two souls trying to find each other through time. And it takes place in 4 different time periods, starting out in 1750s Ghana. It moves to pre-colonial India, Pearl Harbor during the bombing in World War II, and then finally to a futuristic Washington, D.C. And that comes out November 29th. It's called To Find You. And I'm so excited about it. And it's such a unique and interesting journey for me as a writer. So you can find out about all of that stuff at www.CereCenniemurphy. That's CereceRennieMurphy.com.
Wow.
And that's what's going on with me.
Well, that's a hell of a lot, Cerece. I want to thank you so much for your time and your energy. Hey, family, I hope y'all enjoyed that episode of JonathanSoul Sundays. We'll post a brand new episode next Sunday. Y'all will dig it. You can set yourself a little reminder or whatever it is you do. But if you follow me on social media, you'll be able to see it posted. Speaking of social media, you can find me on Tumblr, Twitter, and YouTube. JonathanSoul, JonathanSoul on Tumblr, Twitter, YouTube, and coming soon to Facebook and iTunes. And if I made you smile, if I made you think a little bit, if I got the gears turning, be kind enough to support a brother. Go over to Amazon.com and pick up my ebook, my sci-fi novel, Malcolm Mars. Malcolm like the prophet, Mars like the planet. Three brothers take their families to Mars to build a new life for themselves in a homemade starship. There's intense stuff, thriller kind of vibration. You know what I mean? There's some politics in there. We bounce from Earth to Mars to Palestine, different other places. There's some, alien stuff happening over there, and then it's everything I wanted to see in a novel that I didn't see in that kind of combination. I put in that novel, so y'all will definitely enjoy it. It's an immersive experience, and so go over to Amazon.com. Look up JonathanSoul on there, or you can just type in Malcolm Mars by JonathanSoul, and then it'll pop right up. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you in advance. God bless you. The ancestors bless you. But yeah, family, hope all your dreams come true. Peace.